Hey everyone, today we're going to talk about ions and what they are and how you can determine which ion will form based on where the element is on the periodic table. Okay, so the first thing you see is atoms want to be happy atoms. We know that atoms have 8 spaces in their outer shell, their valence shell, for the electrons to sit on. And we know you can tell how many valence electrons something has based on which group it's in. So for example, we talked about group 1 has 1 valence electron. Group 2 has 2 valence electrons. Group 13 has 3. 14 has 4. 15 has 5. 16 has 6. 17 has 7. And 18 is full with 8 electrons. Now this determines how they react. And all atoms want a full outer shell. They don't want an unfull shell, or a shell that has space in it. So, an ion is an atom that has lost or gained electrons. We talked about isotopes were atoms that had lost or gained neutrons. Ions have lost or gained electrons. So this allows them to make their shells full. What I want you to do now is pause this video and watch this video. Okay, after you've watched it, you'll see that they talk about a neutral atom, like we've been talking about so far, has protons equal to the atomic number, and the electrons are the same. But we have a cation when we are positive or we have lost an electron. Remember, an electron has a negative charge. So if you throw negativity off, you become more positive. If we've gained electrons or we gained negativity, we overall have a negative charge and we are an anion. So if we gain electrons and our negative is greater, we're an anion. If our positive is greater and we've lost some of the electrons, we are a cation. And a cation has a T in it that looks like a positive charge, so that might help you remember it. All right, so on the periodic table, the way to think about it is it's a lot easier to get rid of 1, 2, or 3 than to gain 5, 6, or 7. All right, so think about a lunch table. A lunch table has 8 seats in it. Okay, so if you're by yourself and you've got one electron or one person sitting by themselves in the outside shell, it's a lot easier to go find a table that needs somebody than to find 7 friends to come sit with you. So instead of finding 7 other electrons, this one is just going to leave. The atoms here, the ions here are going to have a positive 1 charge because they're going to get rid of their 1 electron. Group 2 and group 13 have 2 valence electrons and 3 valence electrons, and so instead of finding 6 more or 5 more, they're just going to get rid of the 2 and get rid of the 3. Okay, so these 3 are going to form positive atoms when they form ions. They're going to have a positive charge because they're going to be losing electrons. If you lose negativity, you become positive. If your atom was equal and now it's got less negative, you've got an overall positive charge. So, groups 3, let's see, group 1, 2, 13, 14, groups 15, 16, 17, and 18 have 5 valence electrons, 6 valence electrons, 7 valence electrons, and 8. So, group 15 has 5, meaning it only has 3 extra seats available at its table. So it's just going to find 3 more electrons. So think of the neutral atom with positives and negatives equal. When it pulls on 3 electrons, now its overall charge is -3. When group 16 has 6 in its valence shell and it pulls on 2 more to fill it up with 8, it now has a -2 charge. Group 17 has 7 valence electrons, okay? So it only needs 1 to make its full outer shell with 8. So it's going to find 1 valence electron to add to its shell. And so it's going to have a -1 charge. Now group 18 is 0. Because it doesn't gain or lose electrons, it already is full. 18 has 8 valence electrons, happy, it will never gain or lose electrons. Okay? So now what I want you to do, we're going to look at building an ion. All right? So you'll see this assignment in Google Classroom. You'll click on it, and I'm going to walk through the first couple of parts with you. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to click on the link. It's going to open up our PhET. Okay, so the first thing it says we're going to do is we're going to click on the play symbol and choose the atom tab. So I'm going to click on the play symbol and choose the atom tab. All right, my instructions say normally Oh, it says click on the plus symbol beside net charge. Okay, so we're going to click on this so that we can see. All right, it says normally an atom has blank charge or is neutral. Right now we are 0, we are neutral. So you would come here and type in no charge because the atom is neutral. Okay, so an ion is an atom that has a charge. An ion is going to have a charge because electrons that have a charge, remember, electrons don't have mass. So when we change them, it's not going to affect the atomic mass, it's just going to affect the charge. So ions are formed when atoms gain or lose electrons. Atoms never gain or lose protons. Remember, protons are always the identity of the element. You can't change it. It's the DNA. So if we have carbon, it will always have 6 protons. No matter if it's charged, it has a different mass, it will always have 6 protons. A blank is an ion with a positive charge, a cation, and an anion is an ion with a negative charge. So the first thing we're going to do is make a neutral atom of lithium. So neutral atoms have the same number of protons and electrons. So we're going to make a neutral atom of lithium. Now, lithium is going to have 3 protons. You could look on your periodic table, or you could just keep clicking. Here we go. Lithium. We need a neutral atom first. So we want our 3 protons and 3 electrons. Okay, so our net charge is 0. So it also says, if you look at the atomic mass on your periodic table of lithium, the atomic mass is 7. So I'm going to put 7 minus 3 is 4. I'm going to put 4 neutrons. Okay. Now, the first thing it wants you to do, it says we are going to remove 1 electron. What is the charge now? So if I remove 1 electron from my outer shell, look, see the outer shell is not full. If I remove 1 electron, now we have a full shell to look at. And because I lost 1 negative, I am now positive. My atom is now positive. Okay? So the charge is now positive 1. It has 1 more proton than it does electrons. So see, we have 1, 2, 3 protons and 2 electrons. We have 3 positives, 2 negatives. So overall, we are 1 positive. This is a cation anion. It's a cation, okay, because it is positive. So go through and do the next 4 questions.